In Oklahoma, funeral services were held Friday for Khalid Jabara, a Lebanese-American man police say was shot dead by his next-door neighbor in a possible hate crime. Police say Stanley Majors will be charged with first-degree murder. The August 12th killing came less than a year after Majors was arrested and jailed for hitting Jabara's mother with his car while she was jogging. At the time, the mother, Haifa Jabara, already had a restraining order against Majors after he threatened and harassed her. Majors served 8 months in jail but was then released on $60,000 bond, even though Tulsa County prosecutors called him, quote, a substantial risk to the public, unquote. The Jabara family says Majors had harassed them for years, calling them racial slurs. The Jabaras are Orthodox Christian immigrants from Lebanon, which they fled in the 80s. Victoria Jabara Williams, Khalid's sister, wrote on Facebook, "My family lived in fear of this man and his hatred for years. Yet in May, not even 1 year after he ran over our mother, and despite our repeated protests, he was released from jail with no conditions on his bond, no ankle monitor, no drug alcohol testing, nothing," unquote. Shortly before he was shot, Khalid Jabara called 911 to report his neighbor had a gun.
The old man was driving off, and I caught him, and I asked him what's going on. He said he bruised me up. He hit me with his end of the...
Here, hold on, sir. I'm going to get you over to the non-emergency line, okay, so you can tell them.
This is an emergency.
Is he already gone?
This is an emergency. So the old man left. The other person, he told me that he hit him with the gun and fired it 3 times somewhere in the house. So
somebody fired a gun into your neighbor's house?
In his own house. The old man told me when he was leaving, he said, I told him you should go.
Did you hear any gunshots?
The noise that I heard on my window was like peck, peck. It was not a knock. I don't know what it was, but it's really not me. I'm not really saying that if I heard it or not, because I didn't hear. I can never.
Do you think it was at the 9332 South 8057 where this happened?
Yes.
Was this guy white, black, or Indian?
All right. So the person next door is white.
Police responded to Khalid Jabara's call, but left without speaking to Stanley Majors. Soon after Khalid was shot, his father, Muna Jabara, called 911 to report what happened.
911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
Yes. No, this is, I need to talk to the police. Somebody shot my son.
Okay. He has been shot?
Yes, I am on the floor, our neighbor. 9328 South 85th Avenue.
How many minutes ago did this happen?
Just now, in front of me.
Okay. The guy who shot the gun, was he white, black, Indian, or Hispanic?
Yeah, no, white.
How old is he, if you had to guess?
I guess next door neighbor.
How old is he, if you had to guess?
Maybe 60, 65.
What color shirt and pants is he wearing?
Well, I don't know. I can't say. I just see. He's still, my son is on the floor. I can't go because I'm afraid to shut.
Okay.
9328 South 85th.
Okay. You didn't see what color shirt and pants he was wearing?
No, ma'am. He's there. He's here in the next door neighbor. I did not go out.
Okay. Do you know what kind of gun he has?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. I heard the shots from him. I heard the shots. I'm afraid he was coming now.
Okay. How many gunshots were fired?
3. He's on the floor, my son.
Where was he shot at?
He shot him.
I mean, did he shoot him outside or inside the house?
I'm in there with me. Yes. Where did he shot you? Where did he shot you? Okay, let me call the ambulance.
No, I have ambulance and everyone en route to you, okay? Just stay on the phone.
That was Muna Jabara, moments after his son Khalid was shot dead in front of his home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're going now to Tulsa, where we're joined by Khalid's brother and sister, Rami Jabara and Victoria Jabara Williams. I welcome you both to Democracy Now! My condolences on the death of your brother. Victoria, can you describe the history of what took place? This didn't just happen in one moment.
No, it definitely was a progression of events, and it seemed like every time my family and I would contact either police or the authorities, as we were supposed to do, you know, over the last several years, Stanley Majors would just retaliate and stronger. And so, you know, over the last I think 4 years or so, you know, from violating 2 protective orders, obviously one of them being hitting my mom while she was walking with his car, and to the most recent incident where he killed my brother. You know, it's just been, you know, pretty traumatic over those years, especially since we did everything we were supposed to do.
Again, Rami, my condolences, all of our condolences to you and your family. When did you first meet Stanley Majors, your next-door neighbor?
I think he came around maybe in 2012. I actually don't think I've officially met him face to face. You know, we tried to avoid him, especially as my sister was saying, as the insults and remarks and racist comments began. You know, we just thought, like, we need to stay away from this particular neighbor.
What would he say?
You know, he's yelled racial slurs at us, at my mom and dad and my brother, because they all reside in my parents' house, and so they're there all the time. So dirty Arabs, dirty Lebanese, Muslims, even though my family's Orthodox Christian. You know, he's yelled racial slurs at neighbors as well. We have our family friend and you know, was mowing our lawn, and he's African American. He's yelled racial slurs at him as he was mowing our lawn, just completely unprovoked.
Can you explain what happened when you filed your first complaint against Stanley Majors?
Well, so as my sister said, it was kind of a slow progression of comments and racist remarks, and you know, my mom was like, what can we do to, you know, help, you know, protect ourselves? And we told her that, you know, she can file a protective order against him. And in I believe November 2013, that was completed. We got a protective order against him. My mom did.
I should say that during that time, he was coming on our property and, like, taking pictures of our house and of my parents. And so I think that was kind of that final, like, okay, this guy is going to come onto our property, so we need to,
making obscure phone calls, sending very strange letters to my sister, my uncle.
You had a protective order when he ran over your mother?
Correct.
Correct. And that was the second violation.
I mean, violation. So he's arrested and he's jailed, and he's not tried? He's held for 8 months and then released? Well,
so there was a first violation of protective order in March 2015. And that involved him making his usual racist remarks, I think being belligerent and drunk while we had a family gathering over Easter. So that was violation number 1. And he, you know, as most criminal defendants, he would have several hearings supposedly leading up to a trial. But he continually did not show up to his hearings, and eventually the judge issued a bench warrant for his arrest, which is common when a defendant does not show up to their required hearings. So that was violation number 1. In September 2015, that was violation number 2, when he ran over our mother, leaving her for dead in the street.
And that's when he went to jail, but he was never tried because,
he was, as with many defendants, they have the option to set bond, and after we had discussed with the district attorney, basically saying this guy cannot be out on the streets, he needs to be held without bond, and they did follow our instructions. And for 8 months, he was held without bond.
And then?
And then, in May of 2016, I'm sorry, we were checking the status of the case, as we normally do, as it is slowly leading up to a supposed trial. And we realize that on a routine hearing where a new criminal defense attorney entered his appearance on Major's behalf, there was an oral motion made to reconsider bond, and the judge granted it without our knowledge, basically without objection from the district attorney's office.
And so he was released?
He was released without any actual, conditions on his release, of course, but without any resolution of the prior incidents.
And how soon after he was released did he kill Khalid?
So I think beginning of June, they had the emergency hearing where they increased the bond, and then he made bail, so June to August 12th.
And what happened? What did you understand? Were you, either of you, there on August 12th?
My brother Rami lives in Dallas, and I live in Tulsa, and so my mom called. I was at a friend's house with my daughter. She said, Khalid's been shot. You have to go to the hospital. Khalid's been shot. They won't let me leave because it's a crime scene. And at that time, I don't know what information she got, but she made it seem that like he got hit in the leg and he was going to be okay. So I rushed to the hospital, and obviously they told us he died. And I met my parents. My husband and I met my parents at. They were staying in a secure area next to our house while the detectives were there on Friday night. And so I met them there, and it was, I think a 4 or 5 hour pursuit of Major's. And they never were able to get into his house. And Khalid never got a warrant.
Khalid had called right before Major shot him dead and said he has a gun, please come, and the police came and left?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for the police report, but it looks like my brother Khalid called twice to call the police. Once when he learned he had a gun, he said he heard some knocking on his door on a window, and he went out, and Stanley Majors' spouse, his husband, was driving away, and he said he has a gun, he hit me with the gun. And so my brother called my mom, who was not home at the time. He said, don't come home, because we learned he had a gun. And so they called 911. My brother called 911 the first time, saying he heard some knocking. I don't know. I haven't read the police report. I don't know if he called when he heard the knocking the first time, and then he called again when he learned he had a gun. But he called twice, and the police came out once. And they said that they knocked on Stanley Major's door. They couldn't go in. They couldn't do anything, despite my brother's plea and explaining the story. And then the police left, and then 8 minutes later, my brother was shot.